Okay, today I'm out in my Discovery 119 from Old Town. This is a little like canoe kayak hybrid because you guys have been asking for some paddling content. And yeah, we're gonna go after some kokanee. I'm gonna give you some tips on trolling for kokanee from a kayak or canoe. Ooh, there's a fish over there. There we go, got him. Now, since you're paddling, you can't give them any slack, not slow reeling with these kokanee, because they will get slack because your kayak's going to stop going forward. So I just reel as fast as I can. Grab that weight real quick. Pick up that slack. Just keep the pressure on them. What do we got here? Oh, this is a rainbow. That's okay. We'll let him go, though. Big rainbow, though. Keep him in the water since the water temps are fairly warm this morning, 75. Well, there, Hefe. Chill out. I'll get you going. Well, rainbow trout, not exactly what I was after, but it's a start. Yeah, as soon as those fish hit, it's not like with a pedal drive, you can keep the pressure on them by going forward. The only thing that's going to keep the pressure on them is you fighting them. So I'll tend to reel a lot more aggressively than I normally would than on a pedal drive. And I found that I get higher landing ratio that way. Because I actually started out kokanee fishing in a paddle kayak. It was a sit inside from Wilderness Systems of Pamlico. And then I graduated to another Wilderness Systems Tarpon 120, which I only used for a short time, and that's when I encountered somebody with a Hobie Revo while I was out fishing for kokanee on Merwin, and I was like, I have to get into one of those. So within like a month or two, I bought a pedal drive kayak. But for the first year, I fished out of that Pamlico primarily just because I didn't have the money to buy a kayak. So I got pretty good at landing kokanee from a paddle kayak. There's a fish on the turn. Got him. Keep pressure on them. I run a pretty light drag so that if they do need to run, I can let them run. Looks like a kokanee. They're going to be a lot hotter than when I bring them slowly on a... Oh. At least I don't have to worry about them getting tangled up on a pedal drive. Come here, guys. There we go. Alright. First kokanee. It's a big one, too. Nice. You can see they're a lot more energetic because I'm just bringing them straight in. But I found if I try and slow retrieve them with the kayak going towards them, I'll just lose all the pressure on them. So I tend to do the opposite of what I would do in a powerboat or in a pedal drive, where I can keep moving forward while I'm fighting them. And in this case, I just bring them in as fast as I can, get them to the boat. Jeez, lots of thunder. Do not expect thunderstorms here in the summertime, but that's what we got this morning. It's a nice sized kokanee. Gorgeous. Get them on ice. Go out and get the next one. So the first thing you're gonna notice is I'm only running one rod, and I only recommend one rod for kokanee kayak paddling unless it's a spring and you're just flatlining. But the problem here is, you know, I have enough weight and line out that if I stop to fight one fish, you'll notice that I spun around there, and that's because I don't have any kind of keel or anything on this canoe. If I had that, at least it would help keep me a little bit more straight. But what happens is you'll spin around, you'll get tangled on your other line, or even worse is your gear will drop to the bottom and get snagged up. And Kokanee gear isn't cheap, so it's better to just run one rod and be confident that it's fishing correctly. So a couple things I'll do when I'm deploying is I have my rod holder positioned so that it's easy to reach without having me to go forward or move back or anything. I can just do it from a comfortable paddling position. What I'll do is I'll build up a little speed, get up to around 1.92 miles per hour, and then I reach down and let out line. Now, my reel has a cool feature called a flipping switch. And a flipping switch, what that does is it's a feature primarily found on bass reels. But you'll notice I put my finger down, open the bail, and as soon as I take my hand off, the bail automatically switches back on, engages the spool. So I don't have to turn the handle to do that. And that's a really handy thing for deploying when I'm paddling, because here I can just build up speed, reach down, push a button, let out line. And then when I drop down to around 1.5, take my finger off, it automatically engages. I don't have to do an extra step of turning the reel handle. Now, if I was running no weight or just, say a half ounce just to get down a little bit, I'd probably just run a sliding weight for something that's less than an ounce. But once you get heavier than that, the problem is we have to drop back very quickly with these paddle kayaks. So I like to use these clip weights. So I'll put out 30-35 feet of line, then I clip on my weight. The nice thing is now my weight is 30 plus feet away from my gear, so no matter how fast I drop it, it's not going to go back and get tangled up in my gear. I can drop it as fast as I would a downrigger, and that's why those snap weights or clip weights are so good for this fishery, especially late summer when these fish are at 40 feet. So I just build up my speed. It takes about 2 or 3 times, getting up to around 1.8, 1.9, and I drop it down. I'm going down about 50 feet. And then once it's there at 50 feet, I can see the action of the Dodger on the rod tip, and I know I'm fishing. And then I can just start trolling. And you'll see that I have this set up so that the rod is out of my full paddle stroke, so I can have full range of motion. But I can still see it very well, and I can reach it, grab the rod, and fight the fish very quickly or deploy it very quickly. I do have a fish finder. That's still just as critically important as it is in any other craft, because it's going to help me identify the depths the fish are at, my troll speeds, and water temperatures and all that stuff, where the thermocline is. I can see all of that on my fish finder. I'm just using an over-the-rail transducer mount. So obviously I prefer to fish out of a pedal kayak. But there are advantages to a paddle kayak. For one, they're significantly more affordable. There's really good quality paddle kayaks out there for less than $1,000 that you can get into. They tend to be lighter. So, this one's 50 pounds, so it's, half the weight of most of my other fishing kayaks. So it's much more portable, easier to load and unload, easier on my back and on my muscles. Also, a lot of sit-inside kayaks. A lot of people are more comfortable with sit-inside kayaks because you're much lower to the water. It makes you feel a lot more stable. And there's a lot of sit-inside kayaks that now have a lot of the features of higher-end kayaks, such as gear track and built-in rod holders and things like that. Of course, the disadvantages is that obviously your hands are busy, and it's more challenging to almost impossible at times to run 2 rods. I would say another challenge with paddle kayaks is people's arm and upper body muscles tend to just not be as strong as their leg muscles, so you tend to fatigue a little faster when you're paddling versus pedaling. But they're still really fun to catch fish from, and like I said, they do offer a number of advantages. One of the things that is really nice about a paddle kayak is your speeds tend to be a lot more variable. With a pedal kayak, I can usually keep it plus minus, 0.1, 0.2 around my target speed. With a paddle kayak, it just tends to be more variable by its nature. You really have to pay close attention to your speeds, but I'm sure at times that drives the Kokanee absolutely crazy, because right now I'm bouncing anywhere from 1.3 to 1.7, just depending on wind and my paddle stroke. There's one on a turn. Just like with any other Kokanee fishing, you got to make lots of turns, and make sure you paddle forward to set that hook a little bit better. Okay, come here. Oh no. Oh, he's off. Lost him. That is definitely something that happens a lot more while I'm paddling than when I'm pedaling, is I'll just lose more fish. So we're getting into a little debris here, and this is another reason I really like clip weights, is because they're far from your dodger, and deploying your gear and redeploying your gear in a paddle kayak is a lot more challenging and time consuming, and because you only have one rod, the more you're doing that, the more fishing time you're losing. But with this clip weights, if something goes down your line, some weeds or whatever, it's going to hang up on that weight 30 some feet away from where your dodger and lure are, so there's less of a concern of it actually impacting the action of those things, and you can just keep on fishing. Ooh, there's one. That's a good hit. Set that hook good. Okay. Pressure on them. Usually I always lose them when I'm doing the weight switch, because that's when I give them the most slack. That is the advantage of a sliding weight, is you don't have to worry about the unclipping, but then you have to worry about the tangling when you're dropping back, so it's always a bit of a challenge. Whoa, there goes that. That's why it's good to have that light drag. I like this Abu Garcia not only because it has the flip and switch, but also gives me an auditory warning that I'm getting close, so I don't have to look down at my reel and see. I think we got another trout here. I'll let him go. Come here, buddy. I'm surprised at the number of trout I see surface feeding up here right now. See you later, buddy. Oop, there's one right there. Got it. Whoa. Jumping over there. This is where having a keel or a rudder would help a little bit, because I spin around instantly. If I had a keel or a rudder, whoop, that guy's a big jump. Oh boy, he's going crazy. I didn't mean to get that. Come on. Oh, he threw it. No, he's right there. He's just running right at me. It's a big kokanee. See if we can bring him up here slowly. That is a monster kokanee. It's hard to see him because of the dark sky above me. Come on. They're so hot when they come in, when you bring them in this fast. That makes it challenging. Whoa, that is a beast. That is a beast. Awesome. That's probably a good 2.5 pound kokanee. There, I'll take that. Woo-wee. That's where driving those hooks home is super important. So you don't lose them when they're jumping around like that. Look at that fish. That is a beast. That's probably 17, 18 inches. A nice fish. So I've got these little ram mount ball mounts here for my paddles. Really nice, just lock them in. That's not going anywhere. So I can work on gear and fish and not have to worry about that paddle flopping all over the place. Works out pretty good. Alright, I'll give you a little tour of the cockpit here. So you can see how I have my ram mounts. There's a gear track on the front of the canoe here. I have that pulled way back towards me so I can reach this, and you can see when I push down this and I take my hand off, see how it automatically engages? That's that flip and switch. It's controlled right here if I can turn that on and off. There's my fish finder, and I have an over the rail transducer mount. That's it. It's a very simple setup, easy to do in a few seconds at the ramp, doesn't take any time. And then of course here's my Cocosaurus Rex right there. That thing is a beast. There you go. That's a pretty nice fish. I definitely don't need a pedal drive or motor drive to catch really big kokanee. Thing's a tank. A little bit of red on his belly. There looks like he had an injury. Nice fish though. Well, let's get some more of those. It doesn't take too many 2-pound kokanee to make for a good day. It looks like the storm's gonna miss me, so that makes me really happy. I can stay out here and catch some fish. So I'm doing 3 ounces at 60 feet down. So I'll let out 32 foot of line, clip in, and I'm letting out another 60. I definitely recommend using dodgers that you can detect the action on the rod tip while you're going, because if you do tangle on the way down, you want to be able to detect that and realize that you're not fishing. If you can't determine whether or not your gear is deployed correctly, then you might want to check every 30 or 40 minutes just so you're not spending hours with your gear down there not actually fishing. But I never have any deployment issues as long as I keep my speeds above 1.3 while I'm deploying, and I'm using these clip weights far away from my gear. I've never had tangles. It only seems to happen when I use those sliding weights, and those sliding weights, you only have that 18-20 inch bumper between that and your dodger, and it's really easy for that weight to get out in front of your gear and then tangle it up. Whoa, that's a big hit. This thing is ripping line off. It's got to be a big kokanee the way that thing hit. I've never seen a rod holder do that before. It's because I have it faced more upwards so they can pull it straight back a little bit easier. There's a lock on the top of the rod holder I can use to prevent that. That was crazy though. Jeez, look at this guy, he's going crazy. He's jumping all the way to here. Oop, didn't like that. Wow, that guy was nuts. That was fun. Yeah, there's a lock right here I could probably use to prevent that. So I put the rod in here, I can spin this thing over the top of it, that ring. I've never had him do that though. That was actually really funny and cool. It's a nice kokanee. Not as big as the ones I got earlier today, but still decent. Get him on ice and get this all ready to go. You can tell those kokanee hit so much harder than rainbow trout. I mean, people ask me why I like kokanee so much, and it's not just because they taste good and there's generous limits, but they fight amazing. Oop, there he is. Yeah. good hit. It's still really important to have a good limber kokanee rod, you know, so don't want to use a stiff rod here because you definitely need all the advantage you have in absorbing the fight here and reducing the ability of the fish to leverage the gear out of their mouth. So I really recommend a good kokanee rod, monofilament line, all those things that will help make it easier to land these fish. Okay. Stay down, stay down, stay down. Where are you at? Gotta turn the nose towards me. There we go. Got him. That's another nice one. Big fish. Man, look at that. It's another nice kokanee. It's beautiful, beautiful fish this time. You're right. Not quite going to spawn yet. You know, they're just starting to get a little length on the jaws here. For late season, I'm always going to use my garlic bloody tuna scent. It always seems to do better than all the other scents I have. Something about that late season, they love it. So it's just a Procure's water soluble garlic, bloody tuna, and a little bit of shrimp oil. Another dandy. Look at that. Woo! Piggies. Now another thing you can do when deploying is if you don't have a reel that has the flip switch or you can't afford to get one, you can just loosen up your drag and then reach forward, make a couple pulls, and pull out your line that way, or even back off the drag so it slowly deploys on its own. That works. It's a lot more time consuming, so I tend not to want to do that. It's much easier to have that flip switch and just drop away. You know, part of the challenge in overcoming paddle kokanee fishing is that you want to maximize the amount of time your gear is deployed and in the strike zone and actively fishing. Just because things take longer in a paddle kayak, you don't have your hands free, so you want to keep your gear down there fishing as long as you can. Well, I haven't had a bite here in an hour. It's pretty typical the kokanee bite to shut down around 8:30. But I came away with 4 very healthy looking fish. I lost several others and caught some rainbows as well. I hope this video helps those who are struggling a little bit with paddling for kokanee. The equipment can really make a big difference. I think if you're having trouble deploying, think about getting a reel with a flipping switch on it. It'll really help you out. Makes it a lot easier to deploy, and you know, set up your cockpit in a way that doesn't interfere with your paddling but still allows for easy access to the reel. Like this reel is just right in front of me. Alright guys, I'll put links to all the products that you see here that I featured today below in the description. If you'd like to find ways to help out this channel, you can also hit that join button to join as a community member, or check out my Patreon, and I really appreciate it. Alright guys, I'll see you next time out on the water. Just remember, fish smarter, not harder. Bye guys.